Oh, get comfy on this motherfucker. Hey, babies. Hi.
She's like, oh, I am for sure sitting in that lap.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Banners Raised YouTube, Patreon, wherever you're deciding to watch this. Hi, we are here to do our hot music takes video. I am Ben. This is Julien.
Oh, all right. I won't introduce myself.
No, you don't get to do that. No, we are from Banners Raised, and we put out a post a while back and asked everybody to give us hot takes regarding music and such. And so we're going to go over some of those takes today and discuss our opinions on those takes. You want to get us started?
Sure. Hot take number 1.
All right, let's go.
The current hardcore scene is easily comprised of the most boring, neutered, stale, and repetitive riffs that have been reproduced, mimicked, written note for note for almost 7 years by the corniest, repetitive bands on the planet. That's a mouthful right there. I don't know if I have the cred to speak on the hardcore scene or not, but in general, I will say that it has become very commonplace for bands to essentially rip each other off. And it has been that way for a long time. I remember seeing an interview with Zakk Wylde saying that, oh yeah, when I first wrote my first song for Ozzy, I just ripped off Jimi Hendrix. You know, I just played it a little different. And we all do that. And, you know, he said stuff like that. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, essentially everybody learns how to play guitar by, you know, emulating their heroes and stuff. I would say that's probably true. I mean, it's probably gotten to a point where it's getting a little bit egregious. And particular comment said stale. And as I said, I'm not sure I have the cred to speak on the entire hardcore scene myself.
I was gonna say, I don't think I can speak on the whole hardcore scene. I can definitely speak on like the metalcore-esque side of things. And I would say that like most of the bands currently that are just directly ripping other artists or other riffs or other ideas pretty much note for note, just putting their own flavor on it. I think it's that balance of like inspiration, interpolation, and then just straight up ripping somebody off.
Right. Yeah. There's a difference between having an influence and a inspiration versus just straight ripping a riff, for sure.
No, I think okay. I can't even get in my words. We are chill. So I think my biggest thing, more or less, is that there is a lot to be said about the whole copying riffs note for note. But I think for me personally, my biggest thing is like, there's only so many notes you can do and breakdowns, you know, open notes and tunings and all that.
That's fair.
So I think like for the most part, yeah, like there is a lot of just straight up doing the same riffs or the same things over and over again. But I don't necessarily think that's always a bad thing. And I think that there's ways that you can do it that aren't stale. There's even bands in the current times that have directly ripped one another, you know, within short periods of time.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. I would say that, like, I don't necessarily agree or disagree because specifically for that hardcore aspect, but I would say that, like, yeah, that is super common of these artists just straight up ripping each other constantly and finding ways to do it.
Right. This is a good one. Nickelback has better music than a majority of bands in rock and metal.
That's facts. You can't even you legitimately can't even really argue that one.
I would say that maybe the word majority is a little bit strong, but I mean, they're famous for a reason. They, you know, have a bunch of award-winning albums or whatever, right? So
yep.
You can't really argue with that. Also, the early 2000s were a wild time to be alive, so, you know, there's that.
Yeah, I would agree with that just in general. Like, I know there's, like, the trend to hate on Nickelback, but generally, like, they have some of the hardest riffs, and there's some songs recently that have had just
they knew how to write a song. They did really good radio rock for a while, and so they got really popular off that. We all had, I think, a point, or a lot of us have, shouldn't say all, where, you know, heavy, if it's not super heavy, it's not cool, you know? Like when I was in high school, that definitely was a thing. So realistically, I'm sure that's what had a lot to do with was people in the metal community just doing the elitist thing where they were like, well, if it's not super heavy, then it's not fucking cool.
All right, let's go to that next take.
All right. Let's hit this next one. Bring Me the Horizon fundamentally changes the way the metal genre sounds as a whole for years every time they put out a new album.
So I won't disagree with this one because I love all of Bring Me the Horizon.
The last time I wanted to sound like Bring Me the Horizon was 2007 or 8.
I get the whole like count your blessings and like I understand loving the band for what they were. For me, like looking at like the impact that like they have just created. Like
No,
I found a band the other day called Sandpit Turtle.
Yeah, no, I
You
know.
know what I mean?
And they're a pop
Like,
punk band or
yeah,
whatever, right?
and it's like
Yeah, they are very, very influential on. I would say it's probably more rock than metal at this point, if you ask me. They are influential on the music scene, the alt genre as a whole. They are very popular. They play on very big stages.
they just
People
released
know
that Wonderwall
who
cover.
they are.
Like,
Oh, Jesus Christ. I haven't even listened to that.
it's
But
actually not terrible.
I'm sure it's not. But
And it's going to inspire a whole new generation of kids to go out and get a guitar, to play at their parties,
Yeah.
to play, you know
I
what
can't
I mean?
remember
Like,
who posted this, but I saw a thing that said, okay, now it's Oasis's turn to do a cover of Pray for Plagues.
yes.
And I'm waiting for that.
Yes.
I'm waiting for that.
Oh my God.
you know I need that OG.
I know.
Anyway, you're not wrong. They do really influence the alt scene. They are a very big deal. When I was a kid, they were literally my favorite band in high school for at least 2 or 3 years or whatever.
They're one of the first bands I got into. Yeah. Then Suicide Silence and Devil Wears Prada were like the first 3 main bands that I like super got into.
Yeah.
To kind of just sum that up, I really enjoy Bring Me. I think that a lot of their music has become quite inspirational to a lot of musicians, and a lot of people have tried to chase their success by imitating pieces of their sound or identity as a band musically. Overall, like regardless of whether you like them or not, like they are one of those bands. There's not many bands that are at that level in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And so like just in general, like respect on the name, but also I agree with you, bro. Like I would love to hear some Pray for Plagues era sound.
Well, and I know they're far beyond all that at this point. They're never gonna write deathcore. It's just not gonna happen. But I mean, I don't know. The man would have to tell me himself. I don't know what he's fucking.
Hey, Ollie, if you want to come kick it, bro.
Let's chill. I'd love to talk about how you fucking cool guide me in 2008. The next take, Black Sabbath gets all of the credit that AC/DC should get for godfathering metal music. I love this take. First off, AC/DC stands for Antichrist Devil Children. Like straight up.
Yep.
That's just like the fucking idea behind metal in the first place, you know? And in general, their music has like, don't get me wrong, they're still a rock band for sure. Just like Black Sabbath. I know people kind of refer to them as like doom metal sometimes and things like that, but they're a rock band, if you ask me. Realistically, AC/DC, while a lot of their imagery and stuff was not that satanic, they definitely did push the envelope. I mean, they did have some pretty gnarly, nasty lyrics for the time, you know, talking about sex and drugs and rock and roll and that sort of thing. So now we're just like, oh, that's just another day. Everybody does that shit. But like back then, that was kind of a fucking big deal.
Well, that was during the era of like extreme censorship within the music industry as well. Even going up to like the 90s, right? Like Tool was getting censored for the stuff just for like their cover art and like not being able to use certain song titles and stuff like that. So yeah, I 100% agree. This is a great take. I think AC/DC in general is a superior band. Well, and no disrespect to Ozzy and no disrespect to Black Sabbath.
No, they're an excellent band, absolutely.
Because like as we said earlier, right? It's not who said it first; it's who said it loudest.
Sure.
And in my opinion, like that's exactly what Black Sabbath was partially, I think, because AC/DC came from Australia, so the Australian music scene like wasn't as big, it wasn't as easy to get overseas. Versus like Europe, where it's like, you know. Yeah, we'll just go over to America.
Yeah, they were pretty connected countries. I mean, I feel you. Definitely, probably a smaller population there, especially at the time, which didn't really make for a lot of media push and stuff for them until they got bigger and managed to move overseas and things.
Right.
But yeah, they honestly, and a lot of I will say this, they get a lot of hate, I feel like, from our generation. And I gotta say, a lot of the bands that you like and listen to probably wouldn't be here without them. And just some of the riffs and stuff that they wrote, like, Back in Black, like, you can't fuck with that, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. Once again, as we said before, Black Sabbath is a fantastic band, and they do absolutely get some credit for influencing metal music. I feel like AC/DC should at least take some of that as well. Maybe all the credit that Black Sabbath gets is a little bit of a strong take, but like honestly, at least some of it should go to AC/DC for sure, because they were in that similar era and they were genuinely pushing the envelope with their antics and their name and their vibe. So I do appreciate that take a lot as a rock and roll historian. This one is kind of a two-parter because the first or these next two kind of go
these
together.
ones.
These
Okay.
kind of go together.
Yep.
So the first one is Kaonashi is overrated, and Peter ruined that mugshot track with his feature.
Okay, so I'm gonna start. I don't know that song, so I can't speak on the song, but I don't think that Kaonashi is overrated.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you they're not for everyone. I don't like. I mean, it's cool if you're into it. Sick, good for you. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Billy Talent. Very similar vibe. They kind of use it more as an accent than their entire vocal
presence.
Yeah.
No,
So-
I would definitely have to agree with that. I'm not like the vocals are kind of the entrance gateway to that band for me, but I think that like
It's unique. It's unique.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's for a lot of people, clearly that's a turnoff. Like, that's cool that he can do that super weird thing, but like either you like it or you don't. And for me, it's just grating.
I mean, it's the same, I would say, with like Knocked Loose, right? A lot of the entry to Knocked Loose is getting over Brian Garris's vocals.
I did vocals like that for one of our tracks. We need to pause for a second. I gotta let her out.
Pause, and hey, while we are taking a break, make sure you guys are checking out the Big Cartel. We have leftover merch up from our UV.1 merch drop. We have some shirts and we have some shorts. It's in kind of selective quantities. But if you guys want to check that out, go pick something up. We would greatly appreciate it, and you would be repping a super sick band with super sick merch. So we were talking about like Kaonashi, and we had like one or two of the songs from Unnatural Violence, right, have more of that style of vocals, and that's one of the things they don't necessarily like about Unnatural Violence is that, and I think that like that's fine, but that's the style that we were going for,
right? And that's part of the reason why I didn't do it a lot,
right?
It's because it is very much like, honestly, if I'm being real, I don't like it. I recorded it and I am not a fan. Like, the reason I did it is, number one, I can, and I was just trying to show off my vocal range a little bit.
Right.
Just because it fits with the part of the song.
It's the whole idea was like really pushing and doing crazy things.
Yeah.
And that is off the wall, different, crazy. And like you said, you're flexing your talent. One of the bands that I think of early on in like kind of our music history would be like I Set My Friends on Fire. Right?
Oh yeah.
Very, very unique screams. A lot of people just couldn't.
Yeah. Oh, Matt had a very unique. Like, he didn't sound like anybody. And honestly, I'm sure there's probably somebody who did it before him, but he is the fucking granddaddy of the moose. Like Tyler Shelton's moose vocal. Dog. He invented that, if you ask me.
That's fair. I mean, that's kind of like the whole like Will Ramos thing. Like, I don't have anything against the guy personally, and like, I don't think he's like untalented by any means, but everything he's doing was done by Dickie Allen.
Yeah, no, I 100%.
A decade earlier.
Right. No, he's absolutely a talented motherfucker, but he's not doing anything groundbreaking. He's just doing the same thing that other people were doing.
And he's doing
also
it
good.
well,
Yeah,
which
also
is
good.
Respectable.
Right,
but
exactly.
Like, I think that is our hot take. All right. All right.
No, hey, if you like him, whatever. He's a talented guy. I'm not.
I think that music can be good or bad. Like, you can have objectively bad music, but you can still subjectively enjoy bad music the same way that there are objectively bad movies that people enjoy and watch because they are bad, right? There's joke songs that maybe, are they Grammy winning? No, but are they hilarious in the right mood or setting? Absolutely.
All right. So the second part of this, Kaonashi is the most creative band to come out of the post-hardcore scene in over a decade, and it's not even close. I, once again, do not listen to that band enough to really speak on that, but I don't know that I would agree. I mean, there's a lot of really good post-hardcore bands out there. To be fair, to come out in the last decade. So, I mean, that doesn't include a lot of the heavy hitters from the early 2000s, realistically. So, if you really look at it from the perspective of what other post-hardcore bands have come out in the last 10 years that are making it big, I suppose I wouldn't really have too much of an argument. I'd have to
Maybe
maybe.
specifically with post-hardcore, sure, but like overall in like this scene of music,
Mm,
bro, like I would not agree. I would say that there are more inventive and
sure.
or groundbreaking bands. And it's like here's kind of my 2 cents. I'm also not a huge Konashi fan or like listener, but I have heard a bit, and like I think they're very creative, and I think they're doing something very very unique. We've played with bands like that, like Sabella and stuff like
Hmm.
that are doing really interesting, innovative things within their genre that
Sure.
they fit within. But I think like the biggest thing to me that I can really respect, and this is just like me kind of some lore drop, like the storytelling aspect within Konashi, I think is what a lot of people really like. They compare
Sure.
it to,
Yeah.
like Coheed and
Well, and
Cambria
that's
levels.
okay, so yeah. So here's the thing: if you have really good lyrics and stuff, people will ignore your voice for sure.
Right.
I mean, the OG of that, in my opinion, is Bob Dylan. Most annoying voice on the planet, but a bunch of hippies listen to him because he was good at poetry or whatever.
At poetry or
Well,
whatever.
I don't really listen to it. My mom liked it. You know what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like his voice is really annoying. I mean, it could be said about a lot of singers too, because I actually had a conversation with someone when I was younger where they said something along the lines of, hey, Chiodos, great band, right? Singer Craig Owens, you think he's a great singer, but if he was to go on like one of those talent shows or whatever, he probably wouldn't win because his voice is very specific to that post-hardcore, that whine. It's not something that would be considered like a classically trained, like a pop star.
Right. No, no, I would
So,
definitely agree. I mean, I think we've talked about this previously too, of
sure,
like back
sure.
in the day, the singing wasn't about being perfect, right? Like
Right.
there was a lot of singing that would be
Rock
considered,
singing is very different
yeah,
from like pop singing. So
yep,
even though we enjoy it, we're like, oh, that's sick. There's a lot of people who would listen to it and be like, this dude fucking sucks.
yeah, yeah.
It's all about taste. Everyone has their own flavor of things that they like. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we can sit here and say, oh, they're bad or they're good. But realistically, if they're doing well, clearly there is at least a subset of people that are like, that sounds cool.
I want more of that. Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, this next one,
Okay.
gearheads are annoying. Let your hands do the talking.
For real, bro.
Okay, so yes and no. As somebody who worked in a music store for years, I love talking gear. Having cool new gear is dope. There are definitely things about having other new gear is fun. The second part of this, let your hands do the talking. Yes, absolutely be good at your instrument. 100% be good at your instrument. Play it well. But just because you like gear doesn't mean that you're an asshole.
No, but I think a lot of people let that be their whole personality.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then that's really where the
I
problem
just
arises.
I just really love talking about guitars. And to be fair, I guess that is kind of part of it too, is it's really just more of a, oh, look at how sick and all this stuff, all these appointments this guitar had and the type of wood and the thing.
All these appointments this
Yeah.
guitar had.
Dude, that's look at the salesman in me coming out right now. But
So we
straight
have an
up,
appointment scheduled for Friday at 10 a.m. Restringing.
bro, that's not even what it means. But anyways, yeah, I get it. There are definitely people who really take it too far and make it their entire personality to just talk about all the cool pedals they have or whatever, and they can't really play their instrument. I mean, if you're into noise music or whatever, that good for you. I hope you keep doing that and you enjoy it. But for some people, listening to you talk about the 10th phaser you bought is really not the move.
Especially when you just apply it to the idea of tone chasing. Like, dude, nobody is going to care as much as you care about how hard you're chasing that.
For some people who just really don't want to talk about, they'd rather be like, let's fucking jam or play or something.
Well, it's like somebody who's like an analog head walking into a studio that has like a shit ton of analog gear and just like geeking out. And it's like, yeah, I get it because of your love and appreciation for it, but it's like, it's just gear, bro. Like,
right.
What's our next one?
This is a pretty good one too. This one will get a lot of people heated. Chino Moreno was never a good singer, and that they never intended for people to think he was. I would agree with that, dude. I think that we kind of touched on this earlier. A lot of singers are personal preference. There are so many people with bad fucking voices that are super famous because it's a vibe, dude. It's just a specific sound that people really, really, really like, and it goes with the music or whatever, you know. I think this could be said about rap a lot too, and I think it's relevant. There are some people, oh well, I don't really like how that guy sounds. I don't like his flow or whatever. Well, realistically, they're all just talking over music real fast or to a beat or whatever, right? So why do you care that much? Well, because there's certain people that the way their voice sounds, you know, that's why ASMR and things like that exist. There's certain things that people like and other people don't, and other people like another, you know, it's just a taste thing.
Here's what I'll say about Chino and just Deftones in general. Like every band nowadays just wants to be a new clone of Deftones and just bringing like, what if Deftones was heavy or metalcore? I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think part of what made Deftones was Chino and his voice, and it wasn't that he was a good vocalist. It was like the seductive, intimate. I think you touched on it with like the ASMR, right?
Yeah.
It's that like it brings you in, and I think I've used the term like sensual a lot when I talk about Deftones.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of like the best way to explain it. Like the voice is sensual, so like that's part of what gets you. You know, it's music you can fuck to, bro. Like let's just be real.
Sure.
So
that was a pretty easy one. I think we've
agree,
covered that. Let's move on to the next one here. Music doesn't have to be good to be enjoyable. I guess.
I think I said that earlier.
Yeah, realistically, I mean, if you look at like noise music and stuff, most people would probably not consider that to be good. Fucking vaporwave comes to mind too. There's a lot of vaporwave tracks that I feel like that people would consider not to be quote unquote good, but it's still enjoyable to some people. Some people like that stuff. You know?
Can have objectively bad things that are subjectively enjoyable. I will always stand by this idea of like there are things that objectively you can look at and be like, this is not good. This is not well done. But you can still subjectively enjoy it for the experience it provides. And I also think that like set and setting matter, right? Like where are you? What is going on, right? A prime example of like a band that I think of or like music that's not like good but can still be enjoyable is like Lonely Island, right? Like,
dude, that shit is a mastercraft. How can you talk shit about Lonely Island, dude?
So my thing is like, I agree, but also like there are people who look at it and are like, this isn't good. You know what I mean? That are like,
you're saying because it's silly is why
it's not taking itself seriously.
But that's the whole point. Like as long as you look at it through that lens,
right?
Like.
Right. And I think
where they're genuinely trying to kind of punk on, you know, some satire, tongue in cheek something most of the time. And to be fair, maybe I'm being a little elitist right now. You need a certain level of intelligence to appreciate.
Actually, Princess.
But like, you know, like if you don't understand some of the references and what they're doing, then of course you're not going to really like it. Like, what's this stupid song? You know? So like,
agreed.
Maybe I'm being a fucking shithead by saying this, but like sometimes you just need a higher IQ.
So what you're saying is like if you don't enjoy Rick and Morty, you're
just yeah, but like that's not. I wouldn't use that as the example. Please and thank you. One's a good one. Too bad Joseph's not here to touch on this. Ronnie Radke fucking sucks. But Falling in Reverse's music is not actually as bad as people make it out to be. I just don't want to give that guy any more than one listen. Lamau.
I'm on the same page as this take. Like, I guess here's just what I'll say. Like, there's a lot of things about him just as a individual and person and his persona that like hinges on rage baiting and just being like very demeaning to very small minority groups. And I feel like it's just kind of childish when you're pushing 40. You got a hairline like that. But what I will say is like from the aspect of the music, yeah, like the music isn't terrible, but I would also say that like it's not anything groundbreaking or inspiration. Like it's not something where I heard it and I'm like, I want to listen to Popular Monster.
I was gonna say I genuinely enjoyed their first album that they put out like way back.
OG is different for sure. Right?
I won't say I didn't like it. I liked his work in Escape the Fate. I would still listen to that shit. You know what I'm saying? Who he is as a person, I mean, the dude's a shithead, I guess. Don't get me wrong. It works. The man does it because he knows it works.
Profitable.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
grifting. It's literally just grifting.
To be real, he probably doesn't believe half the shit he says.
Yep.
It's probably just an act. But realistically, the dude could beat my ass. So I could talk shit all I want.
I'm just saying, like, I think the whole like tough guy bullshit online is just like, bro, that's so 2004. Like, we had Frankie Palmieri, doing the whole tough guy, everybody hates me bullshit.
I guess. Like I said, it works. Franz does it too. There's
Yep.
multiple people that do this shit. He's not the first guy. He does it because it works, dude. And like you said, it's rage bait. He gets more money by pissing people off.
Me personally.
Yeah.
Now, me personally, I just.
Anyways, all right. Here's the one you've all been waiting for. Sleep Token's Sundowning album has more creative and emotional artistry in it than most bands in metal or rock, including their own Take Me Back to Eden album. So I'm just going to go ahead and give my opinion on Sleep Token right now because it's easy and I can get it out of the way. I do not care about Sleep Token.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
So, as like the in-house Sleep Token head, I guess like I really, really enjoy good produced music. I really enjoy pop music. And so Sleep Token scratches a really good itch, in my opinion, of like very high produced pop metal is really what it is. It's not metalcore, it's not gent, it's not prog or any of these other things. It's pop metal. It's a new era of glam metal, in my opinion. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think like you need to look at it through that lens. I agree. Sundowning as an album, in my opinion, is by far their best catalog, like collection of songs. I really enjoy all of their work though. I can't really say that like it's more artistically expressive or creative or groundbreaking, because what I would say is like Take Me Back to Eden really cemented the band in the position that they are in now. So like you have to credit that album for what it did. But there are more songs that I choose to listen on repeat from Sundowning than any of their other stuff. Really just comes down to personal preference, and I know a lot of people don't like that style, and that's totally fine. I guess my biggest thing is like we were just talking about like Deftones, right? Like I would consider them like a new age Deftones. Like one of the biggest things that people either like or don't is his vocals, right? So, people are like, oh, he's such a great fucking vocalist. And I agree. I think he's a fantastic vocalist. But do I think he's God's gift to vocalists in the world? No. Is he, as a bedroom producer who writes and does everything himself, very, very talented? And is it very inspirational? Absolutely. Do I think that he's on the same level as, say, like Adele or like some of these powerhouse vocalists? No. But I definitely think the dude deserves a Grammy. Like that's all I'll say. Dude deserves a Grammy. Okay. What's the term? Give you your flowers. Give the man his flowers. All right. Give the man his flowers. All right.
Oh Lord. And here we are at the end. This is just the best way to end this. Moancore is the new Crabcore, and kids are going to be begging for a resurgence in 10 years, guaranteed. I hope not.
I think the whole like Moancore is more or less just a meme. Like it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
And I think I told you this before. Like I think there is like a level of like tokenism that exists within that of like because they're female vocalists. But here's
it's
my
not
thing.
it's not really
Not
a
enough
genre for
It's
one
not.
thing.
It's not.
And beyond that, people have been doing that for they're not the first.
I know they're not the first people to put moans in a breakdown.
It's just it's been done. So saying that people are going to want to no, it's just something that they did that's a trope in metal.
I think that like this idea of like female fronted metal that like has
actually, now that I think about it, going back, Rob Zombie. I think he was the first, probably one of the first. I can't say the first, but one of the first. That motherfucker had so many bitches moaning on metal tracks, it's unreal.
Even on like hip hop tracks, like
well, of course. So
like,
I'm just saying in the metal genre as a whole, it's been done since like the late 80s at the least.
Right. And I don't think it's so much the moan. Like I think when they say like they use Moancore because of that Not Enough Space song, but like in general, I think like they use Moancore to refer to like female fronted bands And like
Oh,
I
you think
think
it's more a reference to stuff like Spirit Box and whatnot?
Spirit
Poppy,
Box,
yeah,
Scene Queen stuff.
Ginger,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I would say they still
Arch Enemy.
borderline the metalcore as or like the they're more prog, like
Oh,
straight
I just thought you were
metalcore.
referencing female fronted bands
I
specifically.
think with Moancore, that's more or less what people mean because they're referring to one moment in a Not Enough Space song where the girl goes, right before a breakdown. I don't like that song because it literally just feels like that song was built around that one moment. But them as a band, like they have music that is super, super good. And so I understand the idea of like having a gimmick that brings people in to,
Oh yeah, I
consume more of
mean,
your
sometimes
catalog.
that's what you got to do
But
is
like,
make
bro,
yourself a
I'm
meme,
so
right?
sick of people hyping that song up as if it's something magnificent when it's like, dude,
Hmm.
it's just that moment that's sick.
Yeah,
So
have no.
I'll show it to you after this, man. I'll show it to you after this. But all right, well, hopefully this all turned out, and hopefully you guys stayed through the video and enjoyed us talking a little bit of smack and memeing about some fun hot takes. We appreciate you guys if you did give us some hot takes. If you enjoyed, do the whole like, comment, subscribe thing because helps the video. But you guys have a good one, and we're gonna go record some new music. So
Hell yeah.
see you guys later.
Oh, I
Lastly,
forgot to challenge Ronnie Radke to a rap battle again with my
do it now. Do it now.
2007 Warped Tour video. To touch back on the Ronnie Radke thing, I saw Escape the Fate in 2007 at Warped Tour. Their guitar player broke a string, and while they were waiting to get the guitar restrung, Ronnie Radke challenged the crowd to a rap battle and asked if anyone would come up and rap battle him. And I raised my hand, but he either didn't see me or just didn't actually want to rap battle me because he didn't call me up there. But so if you're seeing this, let's have a rap battle, Ronnie Radke.
I love how you say it Radke. Fucking saying it wrong on purpose just to piss him off.